What's good, my people? We are Kizomba Harmony. My name is Billy,
I'm Monica K.
and together we are Kizomba Harmony
Yeah.
because that's our company.
Okay. Anyways,
Yeah,
continue.
man. So, welcome to our first video blog, vlog, whatever you want to call it, of 2019.
Woo woo.
Yeah, man. So, the topic for today's video is going to be biggest issues facing the Kizomba community and solutions. Because it's one thing to, talk crap or make criticisms. It's another to actually talk about solutions and do something about it as well. So we do this because we really love Kizomba. We want to see the community grow the right way, or what we feel is the right way. Basically in a way that actually will allow it to last longer than, a couple years, So with that being said, in our experience and our travels, these are the things that we feel are the biggest threat to the healthy growth of the community. And we'll be talking about some solutions, some that we implement and some that we are working to implement, and that others of like mind can implement as well.
And then before Billy gets started, just a few disclaimers. Number one, we are not personally attacking anybody, nor are we going to be naming anyone, so don't even ask. Number two, this is not a we are mightier than thou type of video. The reason why we do these annually is to make sure that we are growing in a healthy way as a company and to better ourselves as well. And number three, yeah, just listen in.
Yeah. So, first issue.
Ooh, drum roll.
Unprofessional and disrespectful conduct. And this is primarily going to be for people who are professionals or who are aspiring professionals, people who hold themselves out to be professionals, teachers, DJs, organizers, community leaders, people like that. And this unprofessional and disrespectful behavior, it's not just, although it includes the disrespectful keyboard warrioring and trolling, but also things like sexual misconduct, sexual assault, alleged rapes, things like this, which, calling it disrespect might, it seems a little bit,
That's light.
but it's just the heading.
Egregious
okay?
behavior.
It's just the heading, but it's extraordinarily disrespectful and in many cases illegal, but definitely a threat to the healthy growth of the dance and community we all love. So what I'm talking about, things like, it starts as simple as people fighting on social media, but not, in a healthy way, not constructive criticism, but personal attacks, attacking people's family, attacking people's, like for us, we've had our family attacked, my partner's been attacked, my mom has been attacked, and this stuff is not about dance, right? And so, not only is it wrong, but one thing that you have to understand, if you are in a position of influence or you want to be in a position of influence, you're holding yourselves out to be a leader in a community, what you do and what you say, even if, you might say, oh, it's just social media, it's not. You're now not only reflecting on yourself poorly, you're reflecting on all of us poorly. Because whether we want it or not, all of us are in the Kizomba community. And so what you do will affect the way people look at us as well. Right?
And it's not just us, but it's the Kizomba community, whether new
That's
people
us.
want to actually join or not. And you guys all know it takes a long time to actually train up someone and have them want to dance socially. And so why spoil that?
I mean, well, I know why
Okay, fine.
people are doing this, and
Okay.
we'll get into that a little bit later.
Fair enough.
But just understand, that what you do reflects on all of us. And so the solution for that one, for us, is pretty simple. If you are a toxic person who, and there are people who've made careers off of disrespecting others, and it's almost cute in some groups, some cliques or factions or whatever. But for us, if we see that you're a person who has a habit of disrespecting other people, we're not going to hire you. If organizers make a habit of hiring you, then we're probably not going to support your event either. So for us, I can appeal to your sense of morality, I can appeal to your sense of ethics, or I can appeal to your sense of self-preservation. Because in our sphere of influence, people who have a habit of disrespecting others, you're losing money. People who have a habit of hiring people who are toxic, you're losing money, right? So, whatever appeals to you, do that. For the people, who you support, who you invest in, whatever you support or invest in, you enable and you encourage. So if you want a community full of respectful people, but you're putting money into the pocket of disrespectful people, and I'm just talking about just disrespecting other people now. Now we start getting into the issue of sexual assault and things like that, and I've made a lot of videos on this, so I won't talk about that too much in this video. But also understand that if you are supporting or hiring, putting money into the pocket of predators, you are enabling rape culture, straight up.
And we will not support that.
And we will not.
People of like mind will not support that either.
There are sexual predators right now teaching and organizing events, and people are supporting them. Now, at the end of the day, we all have to do what we feel is right. But for us, if we believe you to be a dangerous sexual predator or, disrespectful in any way, we will not hire you.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
We will not put money in your pocket. And this, of course, has gotten us a lot of, I guess.
Well, blacklisted, talked bad about.
Yeah, and it's gotten pretty nasty at times. But at the end of the day, in our sphere of influence, people can feel safe. And for everyone who's of like mind,
It's worth
I
it.
tell you, it's worth it. It's worth it to have events that, and you know that the people who you hire and the people you work with won't do anything to harm anyone in your community. And we are pretty
It's
sure of
huge.
that because of the example we've set. And for all of you, who are looking to do the same, it starts with you. What you support, you encourage, and you enable. So what are you enabling in your sphere of influence? Something to think about. All right, so the next thing
Number 2.
and this one is going to be a bit touchy, but bear with me. Mediocrity.
Ooh.
And again, this one's going to ruffle a lot of feathers, but it needs to be said. Mediocrity is one of the biggest issues that is affecting the Kizomba community. And it's not just affecting Kizomba, but again, we are leaders in the Kizomba community, so we're going to speak on things that occur in our sphere of influence. So, mediocrity. Now,
Or
again,
being okay just with the status quo.
Right.
You don't
Also-
like the word mediocre.
also known as coasting.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of coasting going on. And it's, it's happening for instructors, it's happening with DJs, it's happening with organizers. And basically what I mean is people are putting other interests ahead of quality, right? And, for instructors, it means people aren't training. Not really. They're practicing, they're looking at videos on YouTube or going at the end of people's classes and videoing their demos and trying to deconstruct it and then repackage it and teach it in your class. There's a lot of practicing going on and not a lot of training. And, this manifests in different ways. And this isn't just instructors, also DJs. There are DJs who are basically, they just buy a controller or don't even buy a controller and just start practicing. Borrow someone else's controller and practice at festivals or, try to get booked when they haven't really trained. Kizomba DJs who don't even understand the music. And so they only really play one or two types of music. And they, it's a shame because there's literally, about 6 to 8 different genres of music that you can play at Kizomba parties, but you'll go to some parties and they're only playing one. And this is on both sides, on the traditionalist side and on the urban side. And I'm going to talk about both because this isn't going to be an urban bashing thing or anything like that. Everyone is complicit in this to some extent. And we say this as, we are, we've built a pretty good reputation now, but we weren't always where we are now. Mm-hmm. We've always talked about the importance of training and foundation, even when our foundation was weak. It's just that now our foundation is pretty strong. So, of course, it may sound like we're preaching, but we're not.
But we're not because we're working on it every single day.
We walk it like we talk it, and we always have.
Yeah.
So, on the instructor side, there's two things that I'm seeing. On the urban side, you have a lot of people who aren't really taking the time to learn Kizomba and Semba. And part of this is because, and I've talked about this a lot, a lot of people are out there saying that urban, and what we call urban is an umbrella term for urban kids, urban kizomba, kizomba 2.0, tarasho, all the different personal styles. We see
Urban
them
with
as,
foundation.
yeah, our preferred flavor of urban is urban with foundation, but urban is basically just a collection of personal styles. But a lot of people are out there saying that it's a separate dance. Now, the reason for that, I've gone into ad nauseum, but it basically is mostly a political thing, right? That, on one hand, people who are pal-ups are, because urban is not something that comes from their culture, they don't relate to it, they don't like it. So they're going to say it's a separate dance because they don't like it. But on the other hand, you have people who are saying that because they don't want to take the time to really learn Kizomba and Semba. Because in order to teach it, you have to actually understand it. So it's easier to just say urban is a separate dance, and I'm just going to teach urban. But here's the truth, good people. Straight from the creator of Urban Kiz. Urban Kiz Basics are Kizomba Basics. Urban Kiz is not a dance, it's a style. So if you really want to become a really good urban dancer, you need that Kizomba Semba foundation. And every great urban teacher will tell you the same thing.
Disclaimer, Billy did a very good video about our definition of what is urban. We are not saying that Kizomba and urban are exactly the same thing, just for the record. So don't go on the video spewing, my God, they're saying it's the same. It's not, but it is a style.
It is just a style that goes on top of your Kizomba Semba foundation.
To certain types of music.
To certain types of music. Types of music that were already in existence. We're not saying, as Monica said, we're not saying that urban and Kizomba are the same thing. No. What I'm saying is urban is a style or collection of styles. Kizomba is a dance, which is also technically an interpretation of Semba, but, I digress. It's a style. So, the solution for this is instructors. Take the time to learn Kizomba and Semba. And specifically foundation, because we're going to get into the other side in a second. For the students, if you have a pal-up teacher who tells you that urban is a separate dance, well, understand that it's more cultural, political than anything else, and just let it go. If an urban instructor tells you that it's a separate dance, I'm not going to say don't learn from them, but you're probably going to want to supplement your learning because more likely than not, you are being fed something that is optional and is being packaged as something that isn't. So just be careful about that. Now, I talk about learning Kizomba and Semba, but on the other hand, in the Semba crew, in the traditionalist crew, there's also mediocrity going on. There's also some coasting going on. And what I mean is, a lot of what's being pushed as Semba is actually
Trick, 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 trick.
trick, 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 step on the beat,
Footwork, footwork, footwork.
forced Jenga,
Trick,
wonky
trick, trick.
body movement, and it's almost becoming a caricature, like a clown show. One of our mentors once called it a monkey banana show or something like that, and that's kind of what's happening because people are, and again, it's because sometimes when you look on YouTube at Semba, you see a lot of tricks, right? A lot of people are trying
Flash
to
sells.
Yeah.
Whether it's urban, whether it's the traditionalists, flash definitely catches the eye and sells.
And, I understand that, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, there's a problem. And this is why, even when on the urban side, people are trying to learn Semba, what they're learning is just steps, tricks. Not understanding that Semba is actually a social dance and is very musical. And this is why you often, people get the impression that Semba is about tricks or that Kizomba, or, what people call traditional, even though it's not a traditional dance, is just step on the beat and it's easy, right? And, that's a problem. And I've been to classes of people and they've said things like, oh, Kizomba, you just walk on the beat. It's easy. It's so simple. You just
The
talk.
music has less interpretation. That's why we like to dance urban, because there's more musicality.
And when I hear things like this, when teachers are saying things like this, I just like, oh, because I'm like, what are you doing? It's like you don't even realize the BS that you're spewing and the damage you're doing to these students, because not only are you basically talking crap about Kizomba without meaning to, you're giving bad information to people. things that are going to hurt them in their dance. So instructors, please learn, and specifically learn from instructors who focus on foundation. Not necessarily us, although we can help you, but instructors who focus on foundation. Because when I talk about Kizomba, Semba, African Dance Foundation, I'm not talking about steps. I'm talking about the movement, the flow, the swag, and that is not something that's in the steps. It's something that happens in between the steps. And if you don't understand what I'm talking about, you can hit us up offline and you'll feel the difference. It's a little hashtag.
Hashtag.
Anyway, so yeah, to kind of circle, it's important to actually learn Kizomba, Semba, whether you prefer urban or whatever you prefer, it doesn't matter, because urban is just a style. Just like Semba show is just a style. Kizomba, Semba is the base. Everyone needs to learn it, in our opinion.
If you call yourself a Kizomba or urban instructor.
Indeed. And, a big, sometimes there's a lot of, and I know people in North America sometimes are frustrated. They feel like, they're not getting their due or their respect in the global Kizomba community. And as an organizer, here's my, my advice to you.
And we take this advice as well.
Yeah. You have to, any feeling of entitlement that you have, take that and squash it and throw it and stomp it. Nobody owes you anything. And we say this as, we've been at this for years, investing and training almost on a weekly basis. We work really, really hard.
But still nobody owes us anything.
It doesn't matter how great you think you are. And the first thing, you got to be honest with yourself. A lot of times people talk about all the talent. Well, there's a lot of talented people.
What
right?
makes you different?
Right. So if we're organizers, and again, we're organizers who focus primarily on quality. So if we are looking at who to hire, let's say an urban Kiz teacher, right? When we hire people, you got to have one of two things: something we need or something we want. Something we need means something that we don't have, something that we can't teach. And for us, we put in so much work that at this point, we could teach everything: urban, Semba, Kizomba, African body movements. We could teach a lot of things. So if you don't have something we need, why should we hire you? And that's going to be if you have something we want. What do we want? We want world-class talent, first and foremost. And if you're not a world-class talent, we want world-class work ethic. We want world-class professionalism. We want world-class attitude. And we want people who support our vision. So think about that and be honest with yourself, right? Because again, talent isn't in one of those things. You have to have a world-class product. And if you haven't put in the work, it doesn't matter what natural talent you have. There are people out here who are hungry and working hard. And, sometimes, there's always a comparison between Europe and North America. And the truth is, the level generally is higher in Europe. That doesn't mean that there aren't people here who can't compete with people in Europe, because there are. But by and large, the level is higher in Europe. And part of that is because they've been around longer, right? Part of it is because there's more people dancing and therefore more competition. And because there's more competition, there's more pressure to be good, right? And so, understand that you're competing with these people and you want to be able to compete on quality. Now, sometimes what happens is people try to compete on other things like price, or by, artificially limiting the supply pool by, only having people in your friends group hired at events and things like that. And that's one way to try to artificially put yourself on top. But you don't want to have to compete on price. You want to compete on quality, but that takes work. So for all of you who are frustrated about, not getting hired at certain events, also thing to ask, have you supported any of the events of that organizer before? Because if you haven't ever supported an organizer of an event, how can you expect to get brought in as an artist? I mean, for us, again, we are very big on giving up and coming artists a shot, but we're going to prioritize people who actually have supported our events.
Yeah, because it's important for the instructors to actually understand what we're all about. Our events, they're not just, whatever, we put something together. there's a purpose, and it's important that everyone that gets hired is aligned with the purpose. And the first thing you got to do is check it out. See if you even like it.
Indeed. And so as organizers, this is what we're looking at. So all that to say, focus on foundation. And, it's not just a matter of training, because, again, you'll say, oh, there are people who train who aren't good dancers. I mean, hell, people even tried to say that about us. I mean, that ship has sailed now. It's not something we're dealing with now, because people, more or less, at this point, we've paid our dues. But it's true that you can definitely invest in training and still not improve, but that's often because you're not learning from the right people. So it's not just training. It's also discerning what you actually need and who can help you get there. And that's important. And again, if this is something that you guys are struggling with, feel free to hit us up. This is something that we're actually very good about, helping you determine what you need. This is very important to us. So if you have questions, feel free to hit us up.
And that's another thing. Once you get to a certain level, when your foundation is strong, as an organizer, there is a layer of top tier quality, and it's not people that are trying to actively take down each other. Once you're at a certain level, it's almost like you support that, your colleague that much more, because it's almost like a unified understanding of how hard it is to actually get to a certain level. And I would just like to see that more, because the work that gets put in to actually become an excellent dancer in Kizomba is a lot. And I don't know if a lot of people think that, because one of the things that, I've come across is Kizomba you learn for about maybe 2 months. But then all the other dances that you've learned before, you've been dancing for 10 years. So why don't you put that amount of time into Kizomba as well?
Indeed. I mean, I often hear, I've seen things on Facebook like, what dances should I learn to become better at Kizomba? And we're like, Kizomba. Because again, I tell you, Kizomba, it looks simple, but it's not easy. And, a lot of people out there, again, they've spent maybe a couple months on basics and then they move on to urban or whatever else they prefer. But I tell you now, the best urban dancers have the strongest foundation. The best Semba dancers have the strongest foundation. And again, being a traditionalist doesn't mean that you have that foundation. Again, I know of, traditionalist teachers who can't move. No Jinga.
So if you're dancing at a status quo level, how do you expect your students to get any better?
Indeed. And, a lot of the times people will say, being a good dancer doesn't make you a good teacher. And that is true. It's two separate skill sets, but you can't teach what you don't know. Mm-hmm. So if your knowledge is here, what are you doing for your students? And also, again, if you are not investing in your training, how can you expect students to invest in you? And I see this a lot. There are people who basically their pedagogy, their training, their dances based on YouTube videos, just watching videos and practicing. And yet they're hustling privates and expecting people to spend, $60 to $150 an hour, when all they're basically getting is regurgitated YouTube or something that was directly bit from another instructor's class.
Or something.
I mean, literally, you go to a festival class and it is exactly the same class as someone else. Now, again, as an organizer, if you as an instructor are just a watered down copy of someone else,
then we might as well hire that someone else.
Why should we hire you? And, sometimes the entitlement is not just, sometimes it's, well, I'm in this country, so you should hire me because I'm in this country. Or I'm this gender, or I'm this race, so you should hire me because of this. Or people trading on the fact that they're Palop or they're African. And I called this African privilege in a video a long time ago. People who are basically coasting on that too. Because people who don't know any better are going to assume you know what you're talking about just because of where you were born. And, we're very big advocates of it doesn't matter where you're from, what language you speak, what your birth certificate says, or where you live. Quality is quality, talent is talent, work ethic is work ethic. And we look at the quality of your product. And this message, of course, hasn't made us very popular with certain, people who are coasting on whatever they've been coasting on, but it's what's best for the community. Mm-hmm. So be honest with yourself about where you are. And if you need help with that, seek mentorship, who can tell you what you need to work on, and then work with instructors who can help you. And again, we will tell you, again, in our experience, 90% of what will make you great is foundation. And foundation isn't one thing. It's a lot of things. And it's something that we can't even explain in a video without maybe taking 3 hours. But invest in instructors who focus on foundation. It will help you.
And this is from personal experience. It's helped us.
Personal experience. And this is why we always talk about foundation. It's not because we specialize in it. We specialize in it because we do, because we realized that it was the most important thing in making us great dancers and great instructors. And it has enabled us to achieve a lot. So all that to say that mediocrity is the biggest enemy of the healthy growth of our community, but not to say that everyone is mediocre. There are a lot of people, and we've been blessed to work with a lot of people who are hungry, who are putting in work, and they are building, and inspiring us. And again, if you are someone who's about quality and working hard, then we will support you. Just let us know what you're doing, and we will support you, and let us know if we can do anything to help you. So I think that's probably a good place to stop for now. So the biggest issues right now are unprofessional and disrespectful behavior, including but not limited to trolling, sexual assault, sexual misconduct, and also mediocrity. And basically the solutions, it's pretty simple, but simple doesn't mean easy.
Yeah.
Respect each other, respect yourself,
and
respect the dance. Invest in yourself. And for the people in the community, invest in people who you know are investing in themselves. If you want a community where people are respectful, invest in people who are respectful. If you want a community of good dancers, invest in instructors who focus on foundation. And it doesn't matter whether you prefer urban or you prefer Samba. It doesn't matter. Foundation is key. The best dancers are those with the strongest foundation. Mm-hmm. So if you are a student seeking instruction, that's where you want to start. If you are an instructor, that's what you need to be working on, in our opinion. Organizers, I know it takes investment to do this, but don't just hire your friends. Don't just hire people because they'll hire you. Quality has to be your measure, right? I know it's difficult and it's more expensive sometimes to import certain instructors and to hire people who live closer to you. But at the end of the day, your community will benefit the most when you bring the highest caliber instructors. And that doesn't mean don't show love to local instructors. And that doesn't even mean that local instructors are necessarily worse than every international, because that's not true. There's plenty of international instructors who are absolutely... But what I'm saying is when you hire instructors, don't hire them based on clique politics. Don't hire based on friendship. Don't hire based on, a quid pro quo, you hoping to get hired at their event. Let quality be your measure in everything that you do, and your events will benefit and your community will benefit. You have anything else to add?
That's good. I'm good.
So yeah, that's our first vlog. If we ruffled feathers,
sorry,
again,
not
we're
sorry.
not trying to be mean or anything here, but we're in a position where we can be honest, and not everybody is in that position. So we're going to use our platform to do what we feel is best for the community. So if you like this video, feel free to share, comment, all that good stuff. If our vision resonates with you and you are trying to build a community that is similar to what we are trying to build, a community where, foundation is prioritized, it's respectful, where everybody dances with everybody, where we minimize misappropriation, but show love to creativity like urban, things like that. We're all about diversity and inclusion. So if that sounds good to you and you're working to do that, then hit us up and let us know what we can do to help you. A big part of what we're going to be doing this year is investing in people who are like mine and helping you in your community building efforts. So yeah, thanks for watching. We hope you found value in this video. Stay tuned. We'll be posting more. And hopefully this video wasn't too long.
Good night.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Peace.